Look at that. The cargo train is going right across the bridge. It's beautiful. It's heading on down. It's well supported. Look at all the concrete. We love to see it. Another train is coming along the side. Are you turning? Are you going straight? Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. I'm a big fan. Hey guys, Wheatywaffle here today, and we are back in City Skylines 2 playing our city of Walden. And in the last part, we built out our stadium district as well as Walnut Heights, which both of them I think are looking real nice. Huge fan. I do want to make a quick edit here to this section of Stadium District. I don't want people parking in front of the stadium, so I'm going to go ahead and just expand the sidewalks really through this entire section on both sides. The idea here being I want you to be forced to park on inside the parking lot. It's the whole reason we built it. And I will actually place smaller trees just in front of the stadium. We'll let those grow naturally. That way we get a few extra cars over here looking pretty nice. Can start to fill up that parking lot. I have two comments I want to address before we get into the deep part of the build. The first is from Claudio Revolta, who told me that if I get rid of this round office, which is currently functioning with 0% efficiency, if I get rid of this office, I will be able to see our office demand begin to rise. Something about the signature building ends up being unable to work properly, and that causes all the office demand to kind of get stuck inside that building. So if you're having the same problem, maybe look through either deleting a round office if you have it placed, or another one of the signature office buildings. But I'm going to replace that with the Chinese High Office 01. I'm going to keep it a level 1. It's a 4x4 Chinese office building. What I like about it is it feels similar in height to the rest of the buildings here and helps us get a nice little rise in our skyscraper height. And I do think maybe in the next part we'll revisit some of these skyscrapers. I think a few of them have gotten just a touch too big, so I want to give a little bit more time and effort into that. Now I'm going to just expand these surfaces straight on out. That looks pretty decent. It's not as iconic as the round office, but it's already fixed the office demand, which is going to allow us to do a lot more here in the downtown in the next part. The second comment I want to address from Ben is they recommended I have some type of highway pull-off over here, like a little service station with a restaurant, a gas station, and some parking, and I think that is a great idea. Now, I've been looking at this area, and in real life, the distance from this cargo harbor to this highway interchange is not that great. So there's really not a reason to do something like this, but we're going to compress a normal map and add in a highway pull-off service area, I think right here in this little corner. So the way I want to do that is I want to come in here and upgrade this section into 4-lane highway. That gives us a natural pull-off there. And then where would I place the other? Actually, I could place it right here, and that might work perfect. Or I could place it here and kind of connect into this pull-off lane. It would require a quick merge. So actually, we'll send that back too. Now, the reason we're doing that is I want to go into our simple curve. I want to turn off everything. And we're going to connect first right up here and get a simple curve and just send this along the side of the highway. And then we'll curve right back down and in, giving us a little pull-off lane for the residents. That actually works pretty decently. There's a bit of a bump here, and I'm wondering if I can just fix that by just lowering this section. Does that make anything too strange? I don't think so. We'll remove the trees that I decided to pop into our highway. Get rid of those. And I am going to put a key wall, or not a key wall, yeah, a key wall. I am going to put a key wall, I think, on this side, just as a way for people not to, cut through the grass. I act like these cars are driving all recklessly, and I guess they do in some respect, but they're not driving, that recklessly. Now, with this, I am going to use, I think, a narrow one-way alley, but I guess the downside to using this is that people would park along the side. So maybe I won't use that. Maybe we will, at least for this intro area, stick with highway exits. If I was to just pull this out like this, and then I also obviously want to have a return lane that you can turn into to get back on. The middle of this could then be filled with some parking. If I was just to go like this, better yet, let's build it this way. And these can be relatively sharp turns. I did download a new signature building from Cristio Listo, which is a unique McDonald's. And I want to place that McDonald's kind of over in this area. Now, I probably should flatten all this out first. So let's go in here. Let's grab our, if I can find the right option, let's grab our brush tool and let's take this height and maybe make this area like the highway service area, right? And you can come in this way. And really, I think actually, here's what we do. We take this highway and we just send this all the way around. This becomes kind of the main road holding all of this together. We'll send this straight to here. We'll send a curve here. Send it down this direction. And then we'll use the complex curve tool as your kind of means to get out of this section. That gives us this area in the middle to build. I wonder if I do key wall all along here, if I can then come in here and make this look a little bit nicer. If we reduce the size of this to 30, we can just begin to soften how all of this plays together a little bit nicer. Oh, that's actually, first of all, super fun looking shape. And I think it just adds something unique and different here. Now, let's see if we can fit this unique building in here. We absolutely can. The entrance is over here, and I would want the entrance to be accessible for those coming in. So maybe what we need to do is upgrade. Once you kind of get this far in, this becomes a 2-lane alley, and it comes all the way around this way. We could then consider adding another alley maybe right here as like the pass-through. Right? Right? I guess it really does mean that this should be something different. But I think this could be a gas station. So let's start with the unique building because this is really the most important to me. We're going to place the McDonald's right here. You can pull on in. You're starving. You've had a long day. You've been driving forever. You come over here to this McDonald's. I'm going to move it over just one. That way we've got a section here that we can take a little bit more care of with detailing. And I might even just go ahead right off the bat and expand this surface to fill this entire area, right? So then we've got this McDonald's. We'll worry about power, sewage, electric in a second. Then I also want to grab some type of gas station. We're going to go here to commercial buildings. We're going to clear off all of this other than I want this to go ahead and be a level 5. If I search gas station, I really have a lot of space here. So let's scroll down here. Can we fit a 4x6? We could. A 5x5 also would fit. You'd have to turn off onto Sheffield to access it. But I actually think that's okay. If we place this right here, we get this 5x5 building, you pull off, you come over here, you can get your gas. That has a horrendous sound. I feel bad for anyone who lives right next door to a McDonald's if that's what it really sounds like. All of this here can just be grass. And honestly, this whole section could also be grass as well, but we'll do that in a second. Let's get rid of this tree, as well as the other rogue trees that have popped up. And because this is facing this road, I think we can just revert this section back into a highway one-way road. That way you get this loop here that's 2 lanes of traffic, but you also can pull back off this way. Now, do I actually consider upgrading this into 2 lanes? If I was place a little road right here, we could upgrade this into 2 lanes. It's going to delete that, which I don't want it to do. But you know what? Screw it. Delete that, and then we can just replace it. Okay? And then I actually think we might even sneak a little road right here behind this. How do I do this? Can I place it right here? I'd love it to be at the 90 there. Yeah, there we go. That way, if you get off this way and you're like, oh, I actually did not mean to do this, you can easily turn back around and get onto the main road. And I am considering maybe upgrading this into 2 lanes. That way, you don't actually have to intersect with the other lane there. if we did this and brought this around like this, it does give us, unfortunately, this lane here where you're going to be kind of forced to merge immediately, which is less than ideal. So I think this actually becomes a 5-lane road. I'm just going to do a quick little bit of move it. I think right here specifically, we could just make this look a little bit better. That works out great. Okay, now with that, I also want to have some extra parking over in this area. We're going to do that my tried and true way. I'm going to use a 2-lane park avenue. Nope, 2-lane alley. Place that right here. And we'll do a 2-lane alley. Place that right here. In between, we'll do some of our 1-way perpendicular parking alleys. I'm just going to go ahead and turn basically everything off here. And we're just going to place these, I think, in the best spot we can make them fit. So we'll place one right here. Bam. And all of them are going to exit that direction. Similarly with this, I think all of them are going to exit this direction. So we'll do one right here, perfectly connected to this intersection. Okay, we've got our surfaces painted down. We have fixed all the road names. That looks really nice. I'm actually really happy with how that turned out. Now, we just need to add in some power and electric. The power should be pretty straightforward, I would think. I might even use this regular power line. We'll send it up this direction, and we're going to send it, turn all this off. We're going to send it right down here along the edge. And then we're going to send it straight across this road. I'll place one right here in the middle. We'll place one right here across the edge here, and then we'll connect it in. That's our power for this area. If it goes out, it goes out. What are you going to do? And then we need water and sewage, which again, I think I might follow a similar idea here, where we just send this down and over it like so. But now we've got a little highway turnoff section. It does need some trees and a little bit of decorations. I think I'm not going to use the oaks for this section, but I will use the chestnuts. We're going to lock them at the mature setting. And I think what I'm going to do is just place 2 trees here. We'll place 1 tree over here. We will place a series of trees right here, but making sure we give enough clearance for you to be able to see the turnoff. And then we will also place just a series of trees, I think right here, just like so. Right? That's pretty decent. Now, I do think we also want a few rocks, just because why not? I'll place a rock right here on the corner so that people aren't trying to get crazy and skirt off the wrong direction. We'll actually just do a little collection of rocks there. We'll also place one here on this corner, one over here, and we'll place one over here, just giving it a little bit of extra something. Let me fix this surface now that we understand how all of this is working together. Beautiful. Beautiful. And honestly, there you go. There's our little highway pull-off area. Now, I do wonder, like, is there going to be a decent number of people coming here? Number of people are coming here. That's pretty good. All right, so thank you guys so much for the suggestions. I think that just adds a lot there, and it makes me want to build other highway service areas just because, like, that's just something different that we don't normally do, and it feels, you know, it filled in this little weird spot really nicely. Unfortunately, it only serves the one side, so anyone coming from Emerson Highway, from the direction of Emerson Highway will be able to access it. But I think that actually is helpful because you have all these trucks and truckers coming in through here. They obviously need a spot to get gas along the route. So if you can imagine they were going much further, they would stop here, get a bite to eat, also get themselves some gas, and then continue on their way into the big city downtown. Now, to what I planned for today's episode, I want to finally connect this canal all the way over to this area. It does mean we're going to need to buy some surfaces here, but first, I think we check our terrain. So right here, we've got a pretty flat section. It raises up a bit, but that's going to help us because then we'll go underneath of the train. We'll send the canal this way, and I actually think it's going to go right here along this side so that we've got this little strip of land in between. It'll come along this way, then it's going to curve here, and I think go along this route right where our grade change begins to happen. So I think with that in mind, we can buy really these 3 additional tiles. We make more than enough money here. Costs $744, $83,000 upkeep. We're still in the positive, so I think that's okay to do. Now, what size did I use for this? Was it 110? That's 150. Whoa, that's a big jump. 120. Maybe it was 120. Maybe it was one. Let's do 115. Yeah, I think 115 is pretty good. All right, we're going to send this straight on out this direction. And it's really just going to go straight most of this. And I think we're just going to send it right along here. And I do want to save enough room to have like a service road along the side of our train. So I think right about here is where we're going to begin to turn this canal. And then we're going to curve underneath of this section here. Although I want the curve. Let me undo this. Let's bring this all back up to here. I want the curve to happen before we get to this interchange because I want to be able to make this section a bridge. So if I was to do the bridge section first, that might help us out a little bit. We'll do this, grab this height. We're going to go right here and come right underneath. Then this can just be reworked, make it look a little bit nicer. So the canal's going to do something like that, kind of cut through that direction. Then we want to take this and we want to curve it again and kind of curve it so it's going along the side here of our train. Right. It's going to continue up this way and then it's going to do another curve right here where we have this change in height. And I think, honestly, from here to there, it's going to go straight. And send the canal right over here. Boom. We've made it. The canal has connected to the other side. How exciting. Look at that. What a beautiful build. I love that. All right. If I just turn off all of our views there. Oh, yeah. We've got this gorgeous canal that cuts through the city, comes all the way over here and connects into this other waterway. Now, we don't need it yet, but it does mean we can build some kind of port over here, potentially, as long as our bridges are tall enough, which actually they might not be. So that, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. What we could imagine is this was like an old shipping route that, back way in the day, we decided, oh, we need to get it over here quicker. They built the canal, and then they ended up decommissioning it for cargo once the city began to expand, and we cared a little bit more about the noise and moved away from caring only about industrial traffic. Now, over here, I am going to get rid of this little section of Grove Street. I'm going to rebuild it, though. We're going to do bikes along this whole thing. I want to build with... Can I just grab this exact road? Yeah, this is the... What is this? Medium key with two-way road. If we go over into here, medium key with two-way road, is this flat on the inside? I think it is. So medium key with two-way road. We're going to put bike lanes on both sides. We need to give this a little bit of a curve. And it's saying it's in water, which, like, again, of course it is. So anarchy this puppy right in here. And then I might be able to do this without anarchy for most of this. And what is it? What happens to this road? I mean, we could try to fit it underneath, but I think that's a little unlikely to work. But really, in reality, I would want to have this raised a bit because we want to be able to have ferries go underneath. Because I do imagine there being a ferry line that just kind of is a scenic ferry line that goes all the way through this whole area. So maybe I do need to do a little bit of rework here. I wonder if what we do, if I use Move It, and I grab this piece, and this piece. Okay. If I just start to raise these up, right, go to like right here, right there. Then what we can do is we can take this node and this node, and again, raise these up a little bit just to give us a steadier incline. Because that's still a pretty steady incline, all things considered. Okay. That gets us some height. We'll fix the terrain in a moment. Then we grab this, and we set this to the same height as this node. If I was to try and place a ferry line underneath. Could I? No. Height's too low. So then let's just continue to raise this. Oh, all right. So I did a lot of raising, and I think I messed up some of that. Not great. Let's go ahead and just go ahead and save the game. I think what we do is this. Go ahead and just pause it. Let's remove this section entirely. Right? Remove this section entirely. And we'll just rebuild this little curved area we have going on here. What I think we do instead, back this up. It's perfectly straight, so there's no reason to get crazy about it. Let's do oh, you know what? We could do the lift bridge, though. If I was to do a two-way train with lift bridge, I guess first I want to place this here, just as a placeholder. It tells us what's going to need to be there. And then we can place this kind of over here. We can either do the lift bridge or the double train track lift bridge. I like this one so much more. There's also the truss bridges that we could just have raised high enough. And if I reduce this down and just go to 11, maybe go to 12. Like, how high does this need to be before this will work? Okay, it has to be 22 meters tall. If I go from here to here with this, are we sure it has to be 22 meters tall? Like, we're 1,000% positive on that? That just feels so big. It has to be 22 meters tall. Okay, so this is going to go right here. Where can we get this to build? Right there. How big is that? It's quite large, but it does give us something interesting to look at, which I do like. So we're going to keep this paused because I think I got to do a little bit of reworking here for really a lot of this. We're going to come over here. We're going to grab the 2-lane train track. We're going to do constant slope, and we're going to give this a curve. We're going to connect to existing and connect up to here. And we're going to connect to angles so that we can get this to work just like this. And we're going to bring this over this direction, and we're going to start to send it down. I want to try to keep this... Where does 3% come in? 3% comes in right here. Okay. We'll go right here. Now we're down to 7.5. And honestly, this would then just connect into this at 0. How smooth is that? Incredibly smooth. Incredibly smooth. Okay. Same thing here. What if I just went from here to here? 1.8? Oh. That's perfect. 1.8. If I bring this over like this and then we connect up and in, we do run into this power line. So you know what? Just get rid of the power line for a second. It's got to go. I think this will be better if we do a complex curve. So we're going to come from here. We're going to go right about here where we begin to have the curve here. Then we're going to send it back over and send it in. 1.8. It's really not bad. It gives us some interesting infrastructure over here, which gives, you know, some identity to this area, which I like. And in theory, that's more than high enough for us to continue this road underneath. No? If we curve, and then we curve again, send it out straight, curve again, this connects into here. This does a slight curve before it goes straight for a moment. Okay, it's just going to dead end for now. I don't know exactly how we're going to end it. On the opposite side, down here we were just doing a path. And I think that's all well and good. But I think once we get across the bridge here, this is going to be about where this just like path only setup ends. And it's going to end up turning into a road. So let's do this. Let's grab this avenue, turn on our contour lines. We're going to send it out straight. I think really right to here. Right? And then at this point, we're going to have a road that comes straight on down and connects over to here. I might just try to do this like so. We'll send a road here. We'll send a road here. Heavy bike infrastructure here. Nothing wrong with that. Although, actually, this one, no bikes. All right, then we grab this guy and we begin to send this along the side here. Put bikes along both edges, right? We're going to send it straight all the way down to here. Right? Right? We've got a canal that goes all the way through the map. I don't know why I'm so excited about this. All right. This does tell me, though, I need to rework kind of this section a little bit. It looks a little funky. So I think what we do is we actually change this setup. We connect back onto here. What if I just sent this straight to here? Then we did a curve, complex curve even, and complex curve into here. That section gets a little bit larger, but I'm okay with that. If we go back here, do I just turn it into a canal, or do I leave these open? You know what? You know what? I think what we do is we actually keep this crazy piece of land, grab another piece here, and bring it up to support the supports. And then over here, we already have the supports. Grab the same height, bring it out, and then give it a slight softening. Then I think we need to do a lot of work here with keys. So if I add the key wall here, add the key wall here, there we go. Add the key wall here. And they're going to be like little islands. It's a little precarious for those who are in the ferries, but that's okay. All this looks pretty good. Get rid of these sides and replace them with this. Get rid of these sides and replace them with this. Right? Is that all looking nice? Yep. Up here we've got too many keys. We only want keys on the exterior. Right? All that's good. All right, let's do a little quick flyby here. If I come down this direction, we've got key walls with bikes on both sides all the way through. Now, again, there are some areas where I've got to touch up, how it's working. But I think we've got what we need really all through this area. To get this to connect in, I think we grab this guy. And honestly, what if I just connect this up and in like this with anarchy on? Like, what does that look like if I just do it? Right? Bam. Rotate this direction and take the key wall off this side here. It looks funky right here. Oh, move it is like not working. Okay. Now, I think what I need to do is take a little bit of time just fixing some of the grading around this area. So let me just take a second to do that. Okay, so we've got all of our trees out of the canal. The power has been reconnected. The train line is reconnected. I did a little bit of detailing on both of these little islands here that are kind of the support system for the bridge. I think that looks pretty nice. And then it just carries all the way over to the other side. Now, I am going to lay out the rest of this boatway. So I'm just going to go ahead and start doing that with the continuous curve tool. Now, I'm afraid to delete this, but I'm just going to do it. I think we should be okay. If I have everything turned off, right? All of our snap twos, all of that, we can easily wind right through here. It messed up my surfaces a little bit, but it's nothing crazy. And at the moment, we're going to send this all the way down here to connect up and in. As we've already seen, I'm going to have to delete some of this as we continue to expand this network because I want to place the key wall versions of our ferry stops. But all around, this is working pretty well, if I do say so myself. And then we're going to send it all the way up to here. But now, you could presumably take a ferry from up here and you're going to cross back and forth, but you could also take it and get all the way down. We'll have one ferry line that connects kind of like as a scenic line, and you can just use it as a passenger, as a visitor, as a tourist, and you can just come on down and look at the city. I like that a lot. Now, we did remove the interchange that was here. Was that intentional? I mean, it had to happen. Would I have preferred to have kept it? 100%. Can I make another one? I don't know, because the heights here that we're working with, that is an 8% grade change. Now, what we could do is... Oh, keep doing that. I keep doing that. What we could do is have like a really sharp turn, right? But if it's high up, for some reason... Oh, it's giving it the key wall because I have that set. Would I just let that do its own thing and let it be a bridge? Because then what we could consider, it's around 3%. Yeah, it's tight, but we could slowly send this back down to connect over into here. And if we go down to 1, we're not even at 3% yet. So this could come all the way down around this way, just like this. And as this begins to curve, this would then just connect right up and in. Right? So now you've got an option to curve over this way. Again, it's a tight turn, but because you're about to cross a bridge, you have to go slow anyway. So I don't necessarily feel bad about it. And let's just say we try to build this again, but we try to build it like this. Very little grade change, if any. We could do something just like this, connect it up and in. That's a little bit better, but I wonder if we key wall a lot of this. Like, we have a little bit of key wall there. I'm actually going to extend that just a bit further. I think that looks a little bit nicer when you do it that way. Like, what if all of this had a key wall? Is it overkill? Probably. Do I want to know what it looks like? Absolutely. Like, if all of this had a key wall, this could easily have some type of service building in it. And then, frankly, all of this could be a key wall down to here. And back up to here. It's big infrastructure. But I think if I was to take this surface and kind of fill most of this area in with this surface, right? Then this could be a service depot for something. What? I don't exactly know yet, but there could be a service depot of some kind here. And then along this edge, we fill this with trees and make it look a little bit more intentional. If I keep everything as lock, what I'm going to do is just slap down a smattering of oaks, alders, chestnuts. It disguises the wall a little bit, but also gives me a natural place to basically use all of this as some type of industrial or service yard, because it'll be hidden behind the wall from all the residents that live over here. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. What's not connected? That train line's never been connected, so that's pretty good. I think we're all set. Now, let's get on this train, and let's ride this train across the bridge. I'm just curious what it looks like. Look at that. The cargo train is going right across the bridge. It's beautiful. It's heading on down. It's well supported. Look at all the concrete. We love to see it. Another train is coming along the side. Are you turning? Are you going straight? Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. I'm a big fan. We've got our canal. We've got our trains. We've got power. And we've got this beautiful little traffic area. Little service area for our highway, which is great. Look at this guy just turning right off. We love to see it. Now, do I love to see that people are walking along the highway? Not in the slightest, but I don't think there's much we're going to be able to do about that. I would love to key wall this section. If I was to grab this slope tool, we bring this down to 20, and we go from here to here, right, and just begin to slope that. Then we go from here to here, begin to slope that. And then we take this height and we do all of this at the same level, all the way down over to here, where we then slope from here to here. We can just make that look a little bit better. Do we do some kind of pedestrian overpass and connect over here into Garland Street? It's a little bit more development than I was thinking for this area. But especially if we were to send an overpass kind of up this way, across the highway and over, that could look really nice. If, nope, don't delete that building. If I get rid of, not that building, these trees, and we could easily go from like here, I would think, over to here, just like this, right? And then we connect into the existing geometry. We place this here. Then we curve this just like so. And we bring this down to the ground. Is it a bit of a workout? Sure. But it also is going to allow for much nicer connections for the people who are working over there. And if I just turn this and connect this right up and into here, it's steep. It is not ADA accessible by any means, but now you can just walk on over. Now, I don't necessarily like this little wiggle, so I think I need to reposition this. Is that high enough to connect into this? Not even remotely. Not even remotely. It's way, way, way too short. So I actually think we need to do it this way then. Build this piece here to where we're tall enough. Like if I was just to send this out straight at the 180, that there works. Turn off snap to existing, turn off angle. Can we just sneak it in to right here? If we do that, then I think we also remove this and we sneak back here to this, bring this down to the ground and get it as close to 180 as possible so it looks far nicer than it is. Then I should be able just to go like this. Well, should and could are two very different things. How far back does this need to go? Like I just want one support right in the middle. I just want to go right in the middle. Get rid of this. I guess now that we have this, what if I just took this directly across to here? No change in height. If anything, yeah, start to go down, frankly. You go down to here. Then we use the cable stayed bridge. Right? Right. Then we use a curve regular pedestrian. We send it down to here. We send it down to here. And we drop this thing all the way to the ground. It is a 20% grade change. That is a hill you are going to be working out. But I also think I could probably just use move it and begin to lower some of this and really not have too much of an issue. Can probably also lower this down a little bit. Doesn't need to be so high. Just like that. There you go. And now we've got this extra connection there for all the pedestrians. Now, is anyone going to take this? I don't think so. If I click over here. Nope. We do have people taking it. Look at that. They're already going to take it. They're going to walk. They're coming from here. They're going to cross the street. Come over this way. Hit the gas station. Oh, we love to see it. We love to see it. All right. Now, I do want to do a little bit of farming today. Nothing too crazy, but if we go and we look at our production, we are at a deficit still for really most of our growables. The only thing we have gotten a surplus in is our grain, but we have a significant deficit with livestock. So I would like to place a few livestock farms. They don't need to be on fertile land, which tells me that this little section right here would probably be a great place for some wildlife farms, for some livestock farms. So I'm going to go ahead. It's all flat here now. Pretty flat, basically flat. I'm just going to send this out straight at the 90, or at the 180, connect right up and into there, right? And then that kind of closes off this little section and makes it so that this would make a lot of sense to be some farmland. Now I'm wondering if I expand this intersection, send it out straight, and then let's do a complex curve. And complex curve kind of right along the side of the train track. And then we can send this out straight here. Really exactly at the 180. Until the power lines get back in the way again. At which point, we then need to do another curve. Which actually, this could just be a simple curve even. We go up to here. We go to here. And I think we can send this straight to about this point. And then we give it another curve in. And this little area is going to become probably 2 farms, I think. Let's go into specialized industry. Maybe even 3. Oh, man. Maybe even 3. All right, we're going to snap to the road. The first one is going to snap maybe right here where we begin to transition into a straighter segment. Although I want this to connect, but I don't want it to do all that. There we go. So there's our first one. Then we'll place the second one. I don't want them coming off of the canal road. That feels kind of stupid to me. But I'll do one right here. But before we give it any additional field area, let's place a dirt road along this side here. Have it come along the back side of this road and connect up there. And maybe have it come out this direction. Just like so. Can just go straight. Doesn't need to be anything fancy. And maybe this can connect right up and into here. I'm fine with that. If we go right here at the 90. Bam. Although that needs to be rebuilt. That looks a little suspect to me. Connect right there. Bam. That's perfect. Because then in reality, that gives me 4 more farms, which hopefully that's enough to reach our deficit. What was our deficit, by the way? Let's check this. Our deficit was 214 tons. This is capable of producing how much? If I move the edge here, area size doesn't tell me how efficient it is, though. So I wonder if I can only see that when I'm first building the field. I don't actually know. Let's send this down this direction. Okay, there's a second. Then let's do 2 more. Perfect. Gets us a few more farms. This, I think, could probably become development, so that's all going to look nice. I do think this might actually be too small now that I'm seeing it. Let's turn off this citizen track, this like travel tracker. We don't need that. What is it called? Traffic routes. Let's turn off traffic routes. Yeah, I think I just want this to be a little bit larger. Like the other ones just feel more grand, but maybe once there's trees, it's going to fit a little bit better. Now, it's going to take time for us to see this make any impact, but we were at 214 before. Now we're at 211. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to place trees down in between each of these fields. And while I do that, hopefully we see a change in our production. Okay, so nothing too crazy here. All we did was place trees in between each of these fields. But I will say, if we go look at our production, we have dropped. We're now at 189 tons of deficit. I don't actually think we're ever going to reach enough production to all. That's a ton. That's like so much. So I don't actually know if we'll ever reach that. Maybe eventually we could get closer to some of the other ones, like especially cotton. The only problem I have is just like it takes a lot of farms. But then again, I guess if you're feeding 41,000 people, it's going to be a lot of farms. The last thing I think I want to do today is I want to build just a small little corner lot here. And I'm going to place a gas station right here on the corner. And you know what? I'm going to use the trees as my cover here. And I am going to fill this in with some grass texture. Nothing too fancy over here. Just a little extra business in this corner. And better yet, I think I can just come right to here. Connect up here and make sure all of this is covered in grass. There we go. Just a little gas station for those taking this road. And I will say there are actually a significant number of vehicles taking Lilac Street. We got a lot of bikers along this road, which is really exciting. Can I see conditions pretty good? Length, upkeep. Yeah, I can't really tell how many bikers are on the road, but there are a ton. Now, they come up here, and unfortunately, they do have to just go onto a regular road. But I do wonder, if we look down here, we have bikes here that turn there. It would make sense to upgrade this road to have bikes as well. Because now if we go look at our bike network, you can see we've got dedicated bike lanes here that come all the way down here, dedicated bike lanes all the way along this way, which then connect into a dedicated bike network here that connects all the way through all of this. There could be maybe some stronger bike connections through here. We have some bike paths that hit Old City and then they just kind of end. But I think we'll look at that in the future. I'm not too pressed about it right now. You know what else could look really nice right here? Is it as simple as me just placing it? If I wanted to do some bike parking, just the open air, can I place that over top of my surface? I can't. All right, let me shift this surface back a little bit. This is the one downside to the surfaces. We'll connect this here on the corner, go and re-surround this. But now there's also like a little spot there for those who are biking. And maybe we'll even give this a nice little kind of mixed hedge, right? We'll do some wildflower bush 2. We'll do some some wild bushes here as well. Eventually, it should switch over to becoming spring. I feel like it's been winter for forever. So hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. And we'll place some of these guys in here too. Just gives it a little bit of extra something. We can maybe fit a rock or two. I could do the small ones for sure. Which I will say, originally when I was starting this game a few years ago, I always felt these rocks were so stupid. I was like, they're so tiny. Why would I ever build with that? And now I really think they just tie a spot together. It looks so nice. But that makes me think, guys, this little bit here. Oh, nope. What have I done? That needs to be this. This needs to scoot back. And then we switch this over into the forestry industry. And we give this kind of like a little bit of a bed moment. Doesn't have a ton of upkeep, but now they don't have to mow that little section. Oh my God. That immediately just elevates this whole thing into something so much nicer. Do we need like a little food stall over here? This doesn't have a full building with it. So I wonder if we do have like a little food spot right next door. Is there like a really, really tiny food place? If I do like a 2x2, a level 1, there's like this kind of commercial low building that's too big in my opinion. We have things like this. I have no guarantee that's going to be food. What if we did, oh yeah, what if we did one of these little waterfront buildings? Like exactly this. Exactly this waterfront building. Okay, you know what? This, I would think, could be a little bit easier. Because I can just drag this straight back. We place this little kind of like bistro building here. I don't like it in the yellow. No, thank you. I guess you'd want to have some semblance of parking here. What's like the smallest parking lot we can do? It's a 3x2. What do you even serve? It sells frickin' furniture. I didn't want furniture. I wanted it to be not furniture. And then maybe we do need a few trees behind it. Like if I just place like a big tree right there. And then maybe we carry over some of this like very casual garden bed style along both sides. Hopefully, if you've stayed this far, you're interested in my voice enough to watch something like this. Okay, that's actually pretty decent. And you know what? Is there... I wish there was a path that was dirt. I wonder if someone has put something like that on the workshop yet. Because that would be exactly what I'd want. It's just like a little dirt path. Have this curve right here. And connect straight up and in. You can come over here to the art gallery and you can swing by, get some gas before heading off either down to the big city or over here into some of our suburbs. I'm really happy about that. One quick check here on production. We are now at only 30 tons outstanding. So actually This is doable. And we may be able to get a surplus at some point. I mean, not that we need more money, but like it's definitely helping. It is definitely helping. And I just like that this is kind of surrounded by farms. I think what we'll do is this here can all become another neighborhood. And then as this neighborhood expands, we'll have more on this side. And that's going to just create a sense of the farms were there first, but then there's development that popped up around those farms, which I think will look pretty nice. All right, guys, I think that's where we're going to end this part here. A quick shout out to my channel members. Thanks so much for your support. I really appreciate it. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, click the link in the description below to unlock custom emojis, loyalty badges, early access to videos, save game files, members only content, merchandise discounts, and more. And until next time, leave your questions, comments, and feedback down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Lorelai, follow your dad out. I can't have your tippy taps. I can't edit them out.